Greetings my friends and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I have yet another installment of Heavy Relics for you. Another show where I'm basically showing off some of my latest vinyl purchases in this instance. Some of my latest finds while scouring the internet and wasting my money on good heavy articles. So today I've got 4 more vinyls which I have acquired on various formats online. Some of these albums I was new to, I have to admit. A couple were old favourites that I already had on CD but have now acquired on vinyl as well. All 4 of these choices are from Scandinavian bands, either Norwegian or Swedish, and they're all black metal bands. So this first article I'm going to kick off with. This is from Norwegian symphonic black metal titans Dimmu Borgir. This is their 3rd album, Enthroned Darkness Triumphant. Now this album I have actually acquired on all 3 main formats now. I had it on CD for many moons, and I recently acquired it on cassette as well as part of a limited, I think there was 333 copies produced. From a small label, but I then stumbled upon a vinyl copy. This was new, and this is a reissue from a couple of years ago. It's a gatefold. This is 2017 to be precise. It is just a standard black vinyl. However, it is really cool. It's a really nice album to have on vinyl because we've got a really nice insert booklet here. It's a really nice album to have on vinyl because of the symphonic elements. It sounds very grand, and I think that it really does work in that analog format. All the lyrics here and details. So overall, would I say this is a good album? I would say that this is an absolutely amazing album. And it's held in very high regard by a lot of Dimmu Borgir fans and a lot of fans of black and symphonic metal, respectively. It's an absolute stormer of an album. I think that this is Dimmu Borgir really kind of coming into their own, really finding their feet. The first 2 albums I think are brilliant, really good albums. But this album, 3rd album, 1997, is a real absolute stormer. We've got some killer material here that is both black and symphonic. Really creative stuff. There's a lot of different elements in there. Huge soundscapes. It's really mournful as well and melancholic at times. Certainly tracks like Morning Palace, the opening track there. We've got Spellbound by the Devil. Elsewhere, other particular standouts include Tormentor of Christian Souls, which is a particularly heavy black metal bruiser. Then we've got Master of Disharmony, a Succubus in Rapture. Really good stuff. Just a really solid album. Vocals, really solid throughout. Shagrath does good vocal performance. Got the guys there looking particularly gothic and bleak. I think that's fair to say, actually. There is a little bit of an element of that kind of gothic metal vibe going on here as well. The likes of Celtic Frost at times, and the likes of Cradle of Filth come to mind, where you have these kind of experimental, dark, moody elements, if you like. These gothic elements. But I would say this is a really good album. If you weren't a Dimmu Borgir fan, maybe you'd never actually given them a chance before, maybe you'd never really given them the opportunity to wow you, I would say this is a really strong starting point. Certainly because it's heavy in the black metal terms. It's a very definitively black metal album, but it's also got a strong symphonic element as well. Lots of soundscape, lots of synths, all those good elements. So that's the first article. Dimmu Borgir, Enthroned Darkness Triumphant, an absolutely solid album and a lovely listen. So the second article we have, this is actually a new release, or I think it came out in 2022. This is the long-awaited return from Swedish black metal bruisers. We have Lord Belial, and this album is entitled Rapture. It says on a little sticker here on the front, Lord Belial returns after almost 15 years with a superb Swedish black metal record. And it's on black vinyl. Hope you can see that little sticker there. What I can say to that is, yes, it is a superb Swedish black metal record. Absolutely it is. And 15 years is a long time to go between albums. The band had a few bits and pieces that came out over the years, but it's been a long time between full-length studio albums. However, that said, this album is freaking strong. This is packed full of utterly crushing material. It's formidable. I've got a nice insert here with our lyrics and a really cool giant logo there, giving us the lineup as well and other details. So what can I say about this album? I'm not going to bother trying to tackle with getting the actual vinyl out of the sleeve, as it's just a black vinyl. Generally I'll try and show off nice coloured vinyl, splatter vinyl, whatever it may be. But what can I say about this album? I would say that this is pummeling. This is black metal more in the Swedish vein, thinking like Marduk or maybe Watain. More in that vein than it is in the vein of Dimmu Borgir or Emperor. There is not a lot of the symphonic elements. That doesn't mean that there aren't different elements going on in the background. Certainly on some of the side 2 material as well. But you kick off with Legion. That album opening track, that track is absolutely merciless. You've got the pummeling blast beats, you've got some really merciless bestial vocal work, and you've got some killer riffs. Really good stuff. It's full throttle. It's not doomy at all. It's just straight for the jugular black metal. Then we've got On the Throne of Souls, which is almost thrash pace at times. And that's another point. You do get quite a lot of these sort of thrash metal influences, or like the blackened thrash style, where you've got these blistering, crunchy riffs, certainly present on tracks like Destruction and Belie All Gods from side A. Side A, or side 1, that showcases more of the, I guess, the more aggressive material, more of the black metal. There's also death metal influences in here as well, but it is definitively black metal. It's just got a really hard hit. So that all those tracks I've just mentioned, On a Throne of Souls with its brilliant, memorable chorus, but it's also just a hard-hitting, catchy black metal track. Rapture of Belial, dark, moody, evil, and black metal. Destruction and Belial Gods, as I mentioned, really great tracks. Evil Incarnate, things start to get a bit grander here. Certainly as we then move into the last 3 tracks, Infinite Darkness and Death, Alpha and Omega, and Lamentations. Certainly Lamentations, but those 3 tracks in particular are really grand. They are quite big, they are quite epic. Certainly Lamentations has actually got a soulful piece. It's almost got like a spiritual essence to it. It's heavy, it's black metal, but you've got a few of those sort of symphonic elements discreetly tucked into the background there. But it's really good. It's absolutely brilliant. This is one of the albums that I've been spinning the most frequently over the last few months since acquiring it. And I think this is absolutely astounding. This is pummeling black metal. If you like Marduk, and if you like Watain, as I've mentioned, or if you like Dissection, their more latter material, then definitely this is an album and a band you absolutely need to check out. Rapture from 2022, an absolute masterpiece and really lovely one to have on vinyl. I mean, just look at that artwork. That is creepy. That just says it all. Black magic necromancy. Also, at times, I feel like there's a little bit of a Mystic Circle injection in there, but more in terms of the kind of melodic elements. overall it's far more in the vein of Marduk. So, move on to our third purchase then. This one is an album that I do have on CD, but I hadn't really gotten into it before. It was only when I stumbled upon this rather nice reissue in this rather beautiful embossed sleeve here. This is Sacramentum from Sweden, and this is Thy Black Destiny. So this was the third album from the band, released in 1999 originally. This reissue was 2022, so this is a recent reissue. This album is freaking hard hitting, actually, and I think Sacramentum are a really interesting band because they only had the 3 albums. In recent years, they have been active with touring again. Just to show you the insert there of lyrics and a little bit of bio and such. But I think this is a really interesting album because this is so far removed from their earlier material and the early works. I'll show you that lovely splatter disc there. Really nice, really cool. Plenty of dots and splatters there, and that's what we like. Very busy, very noisy. It looks really cool spinning. So yes, it's very far removed from their early material, actually, where they started out sounding very melodic. There was a lot of kind of melancholy. It was black metal, heavily injected with sort of symphonic elements and the melodic side of things. This album, Thy Black Destiny, this is black metal heavily diluted with death metal, and there's a few sort of melodic elements thrown in there as well. But this is a heavy, crushing album. We kick off with sort of an intro piece of Iron Winds, and then we're straight into The Manifestation, which is a bruising track, plenty of great crunchy riffs there. Shun the Light, which is a steamrolling track, crushing stuff. Demon Aeon, absolutely killer. Overlord, again, that's a bruising kind of death metal injected track. Death Obsession, Black Destiny Part 2. Personal standout track on this album for me is Spiritual Winter. Great vocal work, really solid throughout the album. It's demonic, it's harsh, it's rough. Also the riffs. Those riffs are so crunchy, they're so catchy. You've got that real black metal riffing, but sometimes it's a little bit more thrash metal. But there's plenty of great work there. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Some good leads and such. Weave of Illusion and Thy Black Destiny. All good stuff. I would say this is a real winner for me. In a very short catalogue, if you like, when you've only got those 3 studio albums, full-length albums. They had other bits and pieces as well that they had released over the years, but to be honest, this is currently my favourite of the 3. This is a real standout. If you're not familiar with Sacramentum, I would definitely start the earlier material, just acquaint yourself, and then work up to this 3rd album. Sacramentum, Thy Black Destiny. It's certainly going to appease any fans of the heavier end of the black metal spectrum. Again, if you like Lord Belial, or if you like Marduk, use them as a reference quite often, or Watain, then definitely this will have something for you. Sacramentum, Thy Black Destiny, absolutely brilliant album, really enjoying that. So that brings me to my final article in this particular little haul. Now this one was something I stumbled across on eBay, and I was a little bit hesitant at first because the seller did actually state that the corner of the sleeve was bent, has got a crease in it, so as such they were basically giving it away at a seriously discounted price. But I did want to get a copy of Emperor Anthems to the Welking at Dusk. I've been wanting to get this for a little while. Had a little bit of a stage recently where I was really delving deep into the Emperor albums and just trying to really familiarise myself with them, because although I've heard those albums, those 4 main studio albums, and the Wrath of the Tyrants, although I was familiar with them, I've had those CDs, those CD copies for years, I just feel like, or felt like, just wasn't quite familiar enough. Didn't quite know the material well enough. But during that period, this album, Anthems to the Welking at Dusk, was the album that I came back to the most. Now, I've recently reviewed vinyl copies of, from the same reissue series, vinyl copies of Equilibrium and Prometheus as well, the third and fourth albums. Those are great albums, really solid albums, but this album, this has so much mystery and magic to it. This was 1997 as well, so same year as Enthroned Darkness Triumphant, but doesn't sound really that much like Dimmu Borgir or vice versa, aside from the fact that they're both black metal bands and they're both heavily symphonic. But this album, this stands head and shoulders above Enthroned Darkness Triumphant in terms of its sheer, grandiose, epic nature. This sounds massive. And the thing that really surprises me with this album is that every time you listen to it, it sounds a little bit different. You're picking out things that you didn't hear the previous time. There is so much complexity and so much depth to Anthems that you could listen to it 1,000 times and I think I'd still be picking different parts out of it. So as I mentioned, this is part of a reissue series that I have the other two albums previously mentioned, Equilibrium and Prometheus, from. So it comes with a rather neat little poster of the band from the time. Looking cool, looking very black metal. And Emperor are black metal godfathers. They are held in very high regard by a lot of black metal fans and viewed as absolute pioneers of their sound and styles, which is fair enough. I don't think you can discredit that. Let's show you that lovely swirly vinyl there. Really interesting colour scheme we've got going on there. Kind of reminds me of a Viennetta, mint chocolate chip Viennetta, or chocolate ice cream, whatever. So yeah, interesting colour scheme there. Really cool. A brilliant album. A brilliant album. There's so much depth and diversity here. As I say, you could listen to this album countless times and still you're going to be picking different things out. So aside from the slight damage there to that bottom corner, might be able to make out, it's in great condition. There's nothing wrong with the disc. It's not warped or anything like that. Really solid material here. Ye Entran Semperium. Never pronounce that. Great track. That's the first track proper, if you like, after The Oath, which is the instrumental sort of intro piece. But that first track proper is absolutely stunning. It's furious black metal. You've got great vocal work from Ishan. Brilliant stuff. Really, really distinctive shriek that guy has. Sounds great. Thus Spake the Night Spirit, which that is such an interesting song title, I have to say. But really good track. Again, you've got so much enchanting magic going on here. This is so dark. There's so much depth. Really good stuff. Musicianship is so tight. It's so faultless as well. And it's so intricate. No, I wouldn't say this is progressive, or I would say that this is certainly very attentively detailed and very technical. But I wouldn't say that this is what I call widdly diddly music in terms of its technicality, where it's completely just nonsensical. I would say that this is very memorable stuff. Ensorcelled by Chaos, and then side 2 we've got The Loss and Curse of Reverence, which is one of the strongest tracks on the album. Freaking great stuff. Some killer riffs there. The drumming throughout here is absolutely pummeling from Trim. Then we've got the acclamation of Bonds with Strength I Burn, which is a very grand epic track here. With Strength I Burn is, I think it's 8 minutes plus. Very grand. It's almost like an imperial feel about it. Emperor, imperial. That's the sort of grandiosity that we're talking about here. It feels like a triumphant imperial procession. It's absolutely brilliant. And I really would struggle to place this even as my number 2 favourite Emperor album, just because this is so strong. This is absolutely a stunning album. Absolutely crushing stuff. Brilliant material throughout. If you're not familiar with Emperor, definitely you've got to check out all of their albums. But I would say Anthems to the Welking at Dusk, as good a place to start as any. Really strong stuff. Certainly if you like the more full throttle black metal stuff, and if you like the grandiosity of lots of synths and keys and soundscapes thrown in there, then you're definitely gonna love this. Emperor, Anthems to the Welking at Dusk. So that is my my latest vinyl haul. We've had 4 black metal vinyls here. Really pleased to have all of these. Just to recap, we've got the dark and magical and mysterious Dimmu Borgir, Enthroned Darkness Triumphant from 1997. A great album. Personal favourite tracks: Morning Palace, Spellbound by the Devil, and The Tormentor of Christian Souls. Definite tracks to check out from that mighty fine album. Then we've got the utterly crushing, gloriously heavy Lord Belial with Rapture, an absolute masterpiece. Definitely check these guys out if you like Marduk, if you like Watain, if you like Sacramentum, because these guys pack a serious punch. Tracks to check out though: Legion, Destruction, and Belie All Gods for definite. And if you fancy something a little bit more in the vein of Emperor, a little bit more in the Dimmu Borgir vein, then those last 3 tracks, Infinite Darkness and Death, Alpha and Omega, and Lamentations, will satisfy your need for something more grand. Then we've got Sacramentum with Thy Black Destiny. Heavy, crushing stuff, full throttle, black metal, death metal attack. Tracks to check out: The Manifestation, Shun the Light, and Spiritual Winter. And last but not least, we have the absolutely stunning Emperor, Anthems to the Welking at Dusk, the unpronounceable Ye Entrasemperium, check that out, Thus Spake the Night Spirit, and With Strength I Burn. Check out those tracks if you want to get familiar with these albums. So, are there any other fans of these albums out there? I'm certain that there must be, because these are all glorious and all renowned bands and albums. What are your thoughts and opinions on these particular albums? Anyone else got these particular albums on vinyl? Interested to hear the thoughts and opinions of others as always. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all things good and heavy. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care, my friends, and stay heavy.